Hey, look, it's a TwoSun. Yeah, I bet you could have never guessed that. Alrighty, yep, this is another TwoSun for TwoSun Tuesday. This one's a nice titanium model. This is fairly old in design. This is the TS21, and yeah, you can see something that's a little bit different about these right off the bat. Is yeah, it's not really held together with Torx screws. It's basically stuff that you can use with a flathead screwdriver, which is a little tiny bit annoying trying to get them open and everything. And it's got basically the other side of the pivot that that screw goes through. Really reminds me of the Hinder design guys. So, with that being said, let's yeah. What I do have to say is this thing is decently well designed. This is not really marked as anything. This is a TwoSun in-house design. And, well, it's not the absolute most boring thing on the planet. If I were to look up modern folding knife in a dictionary, this would be exactly what it would look like. Just the picture right in there. It's not super exemplary as far as the looks go, but looks can be deceiving. This thing is quite nice and comfortable. Doesn't really have any jimping on the top there, but you do have the flipper tab there down at the bottom that kind of helps with a lot of that. And you don't really have any jimping or cutouts in the liner there, but you have plenty of clearance there, so it's super easy to close up. And yep, you got that little pocket clip that basically goes into the back spacer there. So this one doesn't really have a spacer, whatever the back thing. I just completely lost my mind there for a moment. But yeah, so it's got the barrel spacers on there, which it's kind of a little bit different for these TwoSuns here, where it doesn't actually have any reinforcements for the lanyard hole. That's something that most of their knives certainly do have. Whether it's using the titanium or G10 backspacer bridges rather than these barrel spacers. The flipper tab works quite nice. It does stick out quite a ways though. Yeah, it's not super subdued or anything like that. And it doesn't really have much in the way of jimping, but it's very, very effective. You don't really need that jimping. I don't really slide off of it, especially with that slight incline in it. And yeah, I mean the detent is set up quite nice. It's almost impossible for you to fail it unless you're really going at the pad of your finger trying to fail it. But otherwise, yeah, this thing just deploys rock solid every single time. How about if we take a little closer look on the inside? And for this, I actually have to pull out a little bit of different screwdriver. Mostly because the flathead bit that I want to use, I need to pull out the big boy for. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit bigger than the standard ones, and I don't need the torque. I just need that for the bit. So. It is interesting that these don't go all the way. They kind of have that slot, and then they're done. There we go. And the pivot that's probably going to give me some trouble, as you can kind of see there. I've also applied Loctite to this, so this one might not be the easiest one to actually get all the way open without without a little bit of extra inspiration. I don't know if this is going to help a whole lot, but it's worth a shot. Let's check down on the bottom slot. Man. Tried to see if I couldn't tighten it all the way so it would do that. That didn't work either. That makes Jerry sad. Well, you know what? I don't necessarily need to pull this thing all apart. I can kind of show you a little bit up front here. Something that you can notice, let's keep my light up here, is there's not much in the way of skeletonization going on in there at all. You know, obviously there is on the inside notch, which I actually prefer for a frame lock. It just keeps the design nice and simple on the outside. But yeah, there's no skeletonization going on at all. So it's not the absolute lightest thing in the world. It's not super heavy either. Let's see. As always, I'll have all this information down in the oh, what do they call it? I don't know, the doobly-doo. I think somebody called it that at one point in YouTube history. But yeah, the description sort of area. That's that guy. So yeah, we got like 3.77 ounces, 107 grams, right around there. So it's not, you know, a super lightweight knife, but it's far from being I don't know what's wrong with my brain today, but yeah, it's far from being heavy at all. This guy really does kind of disappear into your pocket when you're carrying him around. I guess unless you're wearing basketball shorts during the summer or something like that. That might be a little bit different for you. But yeah, he's running on ceramic bearings. I don't necessarily know why it's a he, but I guess I just decided that in the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's got some angular sort of things that I would like to see kind of maybe improved or iterated on. But you know, I mean, once they come out with a design, they don't necessarily do the whole CQI things that Spyderco does of constantly improving things. But yeah, I have also put a ridiculous edge on this thing with the the precision adjust knife sharpener. I got a review on that coming up, since I have actually sharpened had a lot of knives with it. I'm really happy with it. You can see that it doesn't quite mirror polish an edge. You can still see a lot of you know, lines and whatnot in there. But I do have some thoughts on how to deal with that. Um, I mean, if you have some, you can use some KME lapping films. And this is basically 1 inch by 4 inch, whereas the stones on the precision adjust are 4 inch by half-inch. So you can slice those guys right down the middle, and then you can stick it on the ceramic stone, and away you go. I have basically ordered a full array of different lapping film stuff, so I can try and do that. But yeah, this guy's got a screaming edge on him, which, I mean, paper, sure, it's gonna slice through it, whatever. But it's also quite toothy in nature. Whereas cutting some cloth sort of stuff is generally pretty difficult, but this thing just chews right through it. And it wasn't this knife, but it was another one that I was basically using. I like to use these things to apply some Tough Glide or whatnot for some D2 blades like this. And it wasn't this one, but I was, basically applying it. And went zip, and it cut right through this, which I'm not quite used to, and right into my finger. I mean, I've of course healed because, well, it was about the sharpest thing on the freaking planet Earth. So it healed up quite nice and fast. So that's nice. So I guess in that way, it proves that this knife can at least obtain a crazy sharp edge. This wasn't the most difficult knife to sharpen, at least by hand. I guess the most difficult TwoSun or D2 TwoSun that I've sharpened recently was the TS21, the one that kind of had the ridiculous rope cutting record of like over 1,000 cuts, and it took a lot of sharpening with the diamond stones and everything to put that edge back on it. Part of that is probably because it's on the higher end of the Rockwell scale, and part of that's also it's kind of an earlier one, so the grind on this one's great, but the grind on that 89 is a little thick behind the edge, so it took a little bit more to get it there. This isn't absolutely the thinnest thing conceivably imaginable behind the edge, and we're getting probably right around 0.3 millimeter or so. But yeah, it certainly does do a good job of slicing. The ergonomics, even though they might not necessarily look that way, actually quite good. I suppose you can, it's a little small for me, I guess, if you wanted to carry it in a reverse grip for whatever. I mean, that's probably perfectly fine for a plunge stab or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily hold my knives in a reverse grip unless I'm just playing around with them. I don't really have a nice practical reason for them. That's something I've noticed a lot with flipper knives in general. This is kind of a tangent. It's probably a little bit different when you're pulling them out of your pocket, but when I just pick one of these guys up, my first instinct isn't to move my index finger to it. It's to use my thumb. And it's really effective on pretty much any flipper. I don't know, I got another one here. It just seems to be what I like to do. And I don't know if that's because I'm so used to using my thumb for deploying between, Spydercos over the years and thumb stud knives, which certainly were around a lot longer than the whole flipper craze. But I don't know. Yeah, that's just something I think I do a little bit that I don't see a lot of people do. But I find it comfortable. So there you go. So yeah, this guy's kind of interesting. It does have these steel things back here, and they do look attractive. But as far as the durability on them, I'll get super up close. You can see that just trying to do the screwdriver kind of things on them, it does kind of mar them up a little bit. So they're probably not the hardest steel imaginable. They do a great job of keeping the knife closed. That's all they really need to do. So it is what it is, especially for the kind of price that you can get this knife at. I suppose if you're lucky. But yeah, I do like it quite a bit. Doesn't really have a name. Doesn't really have a designer behind it that's at least publicly acknowledged. It does have the flat here. I really do like these gradual grinds here. It's something that I think I first started appreciating when I took a look at the QSP Penguin a little bit ago, where I do like that rather. I like the look of that a little bit better than just the solid line kind of thing that Spyderco and a lot of others do. It just has a little bit more flow and elegance to it. I don't know. But yeah, that's this dude. The clip works. It doesn't really have the most scooped out front area, so it can actually be a little difficult to get that in some larger or thicker materials. But once it's there, it's perfectly fine. That is something to be said, I suppose, of most of these more upscale versions of TwoSuns, where they will have these titanium milled clips. And that's neat, but for those who actually prefer the deep carry clips on them, they don't really make any of them. So they're all going to stick out a little bit in your pocket. I mean, this one's not too bad. You're going to get about that much out there. But for the people who really, really like to dunk their knives into their pockets, then they're probably not going to do all that well for you. They do have, there are others that use their deep carry kind of clips, but they don't mill those out of titanium. Those are stainless steel. Either way, I really like this guy. The blade shapes on him just great for a lot of general utility sort of stuff. It's yeah, basically right around 3.5 inches. It's technically a little bit less, but depending on how they want to measure it, whether back here or how I do it generally from where the handle will actually prevent it from going further. Which is just a great EDC size, I suppose. Large for some people with smaller hands, but this guy works great for my hands, and we all know my hands aren't exactly tiny. They're not a huge footballers or anything like that, but I wear myself some extra large gloves. I got like a 9-inch circumference around my knuckles, so yeah, it's quite comfortable. I like it a lot. It's probably not my favorite, but this was certainly interesting to see them do this and the Nightwing kind of early on. The Nightwing obviously being the one that I took a look at last week. That was a NightMorning design. That, similarly full titanium. But that one had a thumb disc on it. But yeah, I do like this guy quite a bit. I would say if you can get a hold of them for a decent price, then go for it. I think I paid 35, maybe 40 for it or so, which I think is a fantastic price for full titanium handle scales, titanium milled clip. You don't really have a backspacer, but hey, some people like that because it's easier to blow out lint and whatnot. Just a nice EDC sort of thing that's not super, super huge. Alright, well that's probably all I have to say about this guy in particular. Pretty interesting. I do actually like to see the TwoSun in-house designs, because they haven't done a whole lot of them recently. They have done some. There's been a fixed blade recently with a bone handle with copper liners, I believe, that doesn't really have a designer associated with that. So I would consider that to be a TwoSun in-house design, and it looks really neat. I would like to get my hands on it once the avid have to collect every single knife that they make, kind of get their fill, so that the eBay prices come back down to a little bit more where I'm comfortable spending the money for it. And I'll try to pick one up. It's got a nice sweet leather sheath to it too, instead of the Kydex ones that a lot of their other fixed blades have had. All right. Anyway, I digress. So, all right. Well, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.